Did you always know you wanted to do law eventually?
When I was in materials science engineering, they had this great class that was like this 1 credit hour, like you just have to sit there, do whatever you want, theoretically pay attention, but they just had people come in and talk about what have I done with my engineering degree. And one of the people that came in for one of those classes was a patent attorney. And she said, it's really a specific skill set to be good at understanding science and math and engineering and be able to translate that into words. And if you have both of these skills, this is a good career path because there's more demand than there is supply, essentially. I was like, this is me. Like,
great. But it's very interesting to say that you brought the technical skills and the specific skill set of bringing the technical understanding with being able to put into words. It's kind of where I am in my company because I understand the numerical modeling, but I can also explain it to the board of water supply, the water district general manager, who are not engineers. They're usually, business people, or sometimes they're just people who ran for their local water board and they don't have any understanding. So to be able to break down a really complicated technical thing and say it in plain English is a skill set. And that works for almost any industry.
And sometimes it's hard to know what is the real nugget of value, or what is the piece that could be litigated in such a way that the judge and the jury, who are non-technical people, are going to understand. So, for instance, my firm did a lot of patents on the iPhone when it came out, and one of the attorneys that sat just right down the hall from me wrote the patent that was on the concept that when you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the screen on your iPhone, it bounces back, right? And we called that like the rubber band patent, right? And we just thought it was kind of silly. And that's the one that they ended up litigating all over the world because I think it was really easy to show infringement.
You're even one step above just the product.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, and it's fun to be at that level where it's kind of where business meets law meets engineering.
Right.
And it's fascinating. It's totally fascinating to me.
So. Yes, IP law is fascinating. But what it is, it's a finite difference grid. Lawyer speak. The footnote, not always a grid. Sometimes there's different triangles, but it's easier to think of them as cubes. You have a grid with different layers of a layer cake, and you can assign different properties to each of these cubes.
Okay.
And the whole basis of the numerical simulation is that it compares the head and the parameters of neighboring cubes. And they do so using Darcy's law. Darcy was a hydrologist in the 1800s, and he developed this relationship to get water from springs in France to the fountains. Because that's how they provided water supply to municipalities, is they brought it to the central fountain and people would get their water there.
Oh, so this is like drinking
water way back when. And I don't think Darcy thought hundreds of years later we'd be using his formula to solve these very, very complex mathematical formulations and using it to determine who gets to grow what, where in California, right? Like it was like,
Darcy!
And so it's just basic physics.
Right.
The reason why I like groundwater is it's this giant puzzle. Because you don't know. Nobody knows. It's not there's no right or wrong in the subsurface, but the numbers do have to equal. So there's this equal part certainty and uncertainty, which drives me crazy. But then when you get that answer, you put it all together and it works. Ta-da! And it does something that you think it's operating the way you think it should be operating. There's this wow, the wow moment.
Right, I did it.
When I interviewed with the company, my interview with him was 1 hour over lunch. And he asked me, I played rugby in college, and he asked me to explain the rules of rugby. So the whole time at lunch, I just talked to him about rugby. And at the end of the lunch, he said, okay, great, you're hired. I didn't tell you anything about groundwater, or I can do computer programming, and I have these great ideas. No, you can explain something complicated simply. That'll be fine.